Welcome to the Football Retro Podcast.
The word welcome, I guess, is stretching it a little when you're an Australian in a place like this today.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 67th episode of the Football Retro Podcast. 67, right, Darcy?
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. I'm your host for today. Back again as host because of popular demand, mainly because of Fatty, right? And here are my co-hosts today. We've got Ryan and Darcy here, ready to go. You got your numbers up, got your Wikipedia already and loaded up, Darcy?
Yeah. You know how it is with World Cup draws and World Cup stats and that. So looking forward to today's episode.
No, good on you, mate. Good on you. And Fatty, how are you, my friend?
I've got to say, I didn't expect that introduction from you for some reason. It was just in my mind. Hello and welcome. And I forgot that Johnny wasn't joining us today, ironically. But I wouldn't say popular demand, mate. How many episodes have you hosted now? 2? Is this your second? Very popular.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think the last time I hosted a podcast was about 30 episodes ago.
Was it?
Something like that. 20-something. It was a while ago.
Clearly, it wasn't memorable enough for you to recall which episode it was.
So, I mean, I guess it's a sign of how desperate we are to get a podcast out that I've had to step in for Johnny's shoes. Anyway, so let's see how we go. Guys, any thoughts about this weekend? We had a couple little notable things that occur, right?
Yeah, obviously, football is back this weekend after an international break of qualifiers and midweek qualifiers as well, which was very interesting. So a lot of clubs were welcoming players back. Some big results over the weekend. We had the Old Firm Derby as well, which was very exciting. Very, very exciting first half, actually. I watched it. Ange and Celtic getting up there. 6-point gap at the top at the Scottish Premier League now. English Premier League is back. I didn't watch any other leagues, to be honest. I don't care. So you guys are going to have to chime in and inform other people about what occurred.
Well, I mean, just quickly off the top of my head, it was the Derby d'Italia this morning. Juventus and Inter. And Inter won. Pretty tight match, 1-0.
And a very tight title race too now with 3 teams at the top, Milan, Inter and Napoli all vying for that top spot.
Yeah, 100%.
That sounds like a typical Italian scoreline, 1-0.
But,
and I mean, I think, Darcy, anything else memorable? The only thing I kind of think of is, Real Madrid won against Celta Vigo 2-1.
Not really the best game, to be honest.
Anything notable from that game, Darcy?
Yeah, 3 penalties. Benzema scoring 2 of them, missing 1, winning 2-1, but not a good game, and need to improve a lot going into the game against Chelsea in the Champions League coming up this week.
Real Madrid getting penalties? Surprised.
All 3 were legit.
They were fair calls, to be honest.
All of them. All 3. All 3.
But look, overall, didn't play well and need to improve because Barcelona won again against Sevilla. So they're not 12 points behind with the game in hand. So they're up in second spot now. So they've really done a bit of a resurgence under Xavi.
100%, Darcy. A bit of a resurgence. I think were they 9th when Xavi came in?
They were, yeah. So they've really gone on a good run, especially including that 4-0 win at the Bernabeu against Real. So look, if they're not going to win the league this year, if they don't, but in the next year, if he gets the plays he wants, and there could be back in the title race next year, if not this year.
100%. All right, guys. So today's episode, we're going to analyze the World Cup draw for the 2022 World Cup, and let's get into the show. And so today's topic, we're going to talk about the 2022 World Cup and analyze the group stage, Darcy? So this was kind of like your idea, buddy. Do you want to take it away with Group A?
Well,
yeah,
sorry, just quickly. The draw happened on Friday, didn't it?
Friday night in Qatar, Saturday morning our time.
Saturday morning our time, yeah. So it's still very fresh. I think from memory, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I wouldn't know. Darcy would definitely know. But I think this is one of the for me anyway, very rare ones that I recall where there are still undecided spots and the draws are
first time. It's the first time I've seen one. Usually all decided.
Yeah, it's always, once that's done. But I don't know, is that because the World Cup's at a different time this year and the scheduling is just all over the place? Is that why? Or
Yeah, possibly. I think so. I think because it's in November, so they need at least 7-8 months to get the draw out, so then the fixtures can be organised and logistics and that. So yeah, then they decided to do the intercontinental playoffs in June. So 3 spots left.
I think it has probably must have something to do with the international tournaments that were played last year as well, because I think that's an unusual presence in last year's calendar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think COVID as well may have had an impact on that. But yeah, always look forward to World Cup draws. You know, it just builds the anticipation of the event itself, and you always want to see who's got the glamour matches, the group of deaths, the easy groups, and and then you see the actual draw itself. All these big names, former players there, present, such as guys like Cafu, Okocha, Javier Zanetti, Casillas, all there. So it's a very big occasion, and you mentioned Group A, so Group A being the host nation, Qatar, obviously first ever tournament. Not many people expecting them to do well. They have kind of done well the last 3 years, winning the Asian Cup in 2019, and a lot of talk as well about the tournament itself. How they're going to host it. A lot of controversy around it now. It's up to the players now to see if they can put that behind them and actually get the job done on the pitch. And their group's a tough one. They've got Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. So Netherlands back into the World Cup after missing out in 2018, and Ecuador back as well, having missed out the last one, and Senegal African champions. So big, tough one. I think Netherlands, they're doing okay under Van Gaal at the moment. So I think to go through.
Yeah, and Adas, I think it's notable to mention Van Gaal just announced today that he's being diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I think that's going to be interesting on how that affects the national team moving forward. Will he continue to coach coming into the tournament? Will that or not? I found like with Holland under it was Ronald Koeman last, right?
Yes, and he resigned, took the Barca job. Yeah.
That's right, but I like when he was their coach, I honestly thought that like Netherlands were kind of struggling with a bit of an identity and a bit of a plan going forward. And I actually think Van Gaal has been able to provide a bit of that energy and a bit of that identity coming back into the Netherlands side. So I wonder if this unfortunate diagnosis for him, if that impacts his ability to coach, I wonder what repercussions that might have for the Netherlands.
it's funny as well because I feel like the Netherlands is one of those teams that constantly chops and changes its coaches. There's no coach that sort of lasts there very long. And then a lot of coaches have had more than one stint there for some reason. I don't know why. If is it just me because I have an interest in the Netherlands generally, or is it really something that's got to do with them frequently doing that? But they should really qualify out of that group comfortably. Qatar, the host nation, look, they might pull a couple of draws. I think that their best chance would be probably Senegal, but even then, Senegal I think is too strong. Qatar will be lucky to pull a draw or two. If they end up with a point or two, I think they would have really reached their quota for the comp. Senegal and Ecuador is going to be a tough one. Senegal's very, very
quite a talented side, man.
Yeah, very talented. Ecuador, obviously, they did well in qualifying in South America. Never easy to qualify automatically through South America. It's always a tough qualifying campaign. So it'll be interesting. You would say really that Netherlands should qualify top of that group, but I think they'll have a couple of hiccups. I think.
To be honest, I think this is going to be the most probably unpredictable group out of it. The host nation it tends to throw a spanner in the works in World Cups, right, Darcy?
Yeah, first time going.
Yeah. Always in the home fans behind them, home soil. So I think the only team that hasn't made it, host nation hasn't made it out of the group was South Africa in 2010. But they didn't do too badly anyway in that World Cup. They did okay.
Didn't they score that first goal of the tournament? Was that long range left? So who was that player? The dreadlocks.
Chabalala.
I didn't even remember that.
No, I can't forget that name.
That was a bomb of a left foot.
Yeah.
35.
And they actually beat France in that tournament. Obviously, disjointed France, France in turmoil at the time. But they didn't do too bad. But Qatar, look, I don't know. It'll be historic for them to get their first goal if they get a win even. So I think it's about having respectable results, I think, for them and not being embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, true. But because of that host nation placement for them, like we said, they're going to be a bit of an unpredictable side. And then, of course, like you were saying, Senegal, man, they have a really talented squad here. I mean, you're looking at names like Edward Mendy. I know Fadi's not the biggest fan of him, but besides that, he's considered pretty well. Kalidou Koulibaly, Ismail Assar, Sadio Mane, of all people, you certainly got a really strong four there.
Yeah, they've done really well under Aliou Cisse, winning the African Cup of Nations and getting through past Egypt in a very tight couple of games there. I think they'll could sneak into second, I think, in that one. I think that the thing is with them, they just go to mentally. Because a lot of African teams, I know Fadi can correct me either, they just mentally just kind of buckle. They've got the talent, they've got the skill and the excitement, but then they're just in the psychological battle. I think sometimes
they have brain explosions.
Yeah.
Really. Like they go there in the match, they start to get frustrated and they don't have that composure about them. So the African Cup of Nations always has some crazy, ridiculous outcomes because crazy shit happens and all the teams are like that. So it'll be interesting. But they are good enough to make it through.
Yeah, no, 100%, without a doubt. Anyway, look, you know what do you reckon we move on to Group B? Darcy, mate, Group B is one of the more interesting groups of this World Cup draw, am I right?
Yeah, so there's still a matter of the spot from Europe. So it'll be either Wales or Scotland or Ukraine. So Wales is waiting for their opponent to be Scotland, Ukraine for that final spot. But yeah, the other teams, England, Iran, and USA. I look at that group and I think back to France '98 when Iran played USA, and there was a lot of talk about it, all the political tension there, and they actually played the game. I remember at the time, whoever watched it, it was a FIFA Fair Play Day. All the Iran and USA players getting together, posing for photos, and joining together, and I remember Iran winning that game. So that match will be interesting. One of the matches I want to watch, and also England versus USA as well. So I recall in the 2010 World Cup when Robert Green, the keeper for England, had an absolute howler, and USA picked up a draw in that game.
Yeah, apparently England have not been able to beat USA in the last two times they've played them.
Yeah, and 2010 was the most recent one.
Yeah.
Funny you say England, Iran, USA, it just sounds like a G7 summit or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going to have possibly Ukraine to add to it, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Look, I don't think with currently what's going on, I think the Ukrainians really have a shot. If they get past Scotland, which is possible, I think Wales takes that spot. Gareth Bale is just on fire when he plays for Wales. Fuck, you can laugh all you want, but it's true. He's on fire for Wales, and I think they just lift when he's there. I think that they're capable of getting past either Scotland or Ukraine comfortably, and just with the current climate, I don't see the Ukrainians really putting up a fight, to be honest. You know what's
interesting about this group, Fadi, is that there's not really a group of death in this World Cup. Not in terms of the way we've seen it in past, but if you actually look at this group statistically, this is perhaps the group of death. England is fifth in the world rankings, Darcy.
Yeah, some of that around there.
Iran is 21st, and the US is 15th.
I don't agree with those rankings. I always thought they were bogus, to be honest.
Yeah,
I thought they're bullshit. It's like a coefficient system, and whoever if you win every time you win a game in qualifiers, it counts. Like, you can't tell me England beating San Marino 8, 9, or 10-0 counts towards your coefficient. Like, I think it's bullshit. But anyway, I don't really look at the rankings. It's really based on form, I believe. Most of these teams that go through and win the World Cup, no one really starts off on fire, and that's where it's from, because the bigger teams will always try to play the long game and sort of like, okay, let's just get out of the group, qualify first. We don't want to expend the energy and whatever, and then really step up the gears as they go through, around the 16, the quarterfinals and that. So it's obviously down to the managers as to how that's managed, because you don't want to peak too early, but at the same time, you don't want to be too slow and then you fail to qualify from the group, which we've seen numerous times. So it's it's a delicate balance, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Look, England should get through that group. Iran is going to be tougher than people think. They're a very plucky team. They're not easy to beat. We saw that with Argentina at the World Cup, playing Iran as well. Struggled. I think they scored a goal very, very late on just to win 1-0 against Iran, if I'm not mistaken, Darcy.
Yeah, 2014. I think it was a Messi goal from outside the box.
That's right. So yeah, Iran is not a very easy team to get past. At the time, I think they were coached by what's his name? Carlos Queiroz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He gets around a bit, that guy. But anyway.
Yeah.
And yeah, USA. Who knows? The Yanks.
They're back. They missed the last World Cup.
They're a bit crazy. Those guys. I don't know.
We lost Sadie there for a sec. Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Someone didn't pay his internet bill. Darcy, can I ask you, mate, is there any reason why England fans should consider this World Cup might go differently than it has in the last few? Real young, exciting, talented squad, birth in the final of Euro 2021. What do you reckon about England, as a team and their chances?
Yeah, I think, look, this past 4 years, so dating back to the 2018 World Cup where they finished fourth, a good run to the semi-finals there, and then obviously the Euro 2020 finalists as well. They still got that core group of players within the squad. Gareth Southgate's still there. He's built a strong culture, I guess, at the club. He's had some stability. So this is their chance now. That I think important for them that they finish top of the group, because if they don't, then they could place a possible round of 16 match against the Netherlands. But but either way as well, though, even if they do come top, they could play Senegal as well if they come second in group A. So if they can get through that, then they'll go a long way. I think it'll help them for the confidence going further in the tournament. But I think they need Harry Kane firing, and they've got guys like Sterling. Bit of concern, Marcus Rashford. He's had a bit of a dip in form. So has Jadon Sancho. He hasn't kind of lived up to expectations. So maybe their spots are up for under threat at the moment. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they go with that young squad, which I think they've got that experience from the previous World Cup and the Euros as well. So let's see how they build on that.
Fatty, sorry, man. While you ducked out there for a second, Darcy was just talking about maybe England's possible chances in the World Cup and their overall talent. What do you reckon? Are you optimistic for England or same old, same old?
Yeah, I think England have a lot of expectation on them, considering the run they had of the Euros. So it would be a catastrophe for them not to make the semi-finals, I believe.
Wow, fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
Considering they're on the head of the Euros, they could be a top 4 contender. They've had a young squad. Obviously, everyone said they were too young to win Euros. That's fair enough. But they have the experience of that tournament under their belt. A lot of young players were blooded in that tournament. So I would assume that they have enough quality to do it. And we saw it, with Mbappe 2018 with France and all those youngsters coming through the French squad. If you're good enough, you could do it. So really, the onus is on England now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. So anyway,
just on that group, though, I would like to see Scotland get through, because the England-Scotland match will be very good to watch. The tense fierce rivalry between those two nations will be good to watch if Scotland get through.
Yeah, I don't think the Scots are good enough, unfortunately, when it comes to these kind of matches. I mean, the rivalry there, and they like to go in and play hard, and it's about pride for them. But I don't think it's anything to do with their skill level. They'll struggle against a tactically superior England.
Yeah.
No, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. What do you reckon? We'll move on to Group C.
Group C.
Group C. Darcy, you wanna do the honors?
Yeah. So this time we've got Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. Interesting group. We've got a variety. We've got South America, Europe, North America, and Asia. As for the Saudis, look, the thing with them is that they always do on the Asian level. They're really good. But then when it comes to World Cup level, when they play the European nations, South American even, they kind of buckle. They buck on the pressure, because for the past 5 World Cup appearances, they've copped a hammering in each of those World Cups. 98, 2002, 2006. and 2018. I don't know. And their first game is against Argentina. So,
Who's that group again? Argentina, Saudi Arabia,
Poland and Mexico.
Poland, and Mexico. That's a tough group for Saudi Arabia. A very, very tough group for Saudi Arabia. I don't see the Saudis picking up a single point. Honestly, I don't see them picking up a single point. The Poles are too strong. Will definitely be too strong. As Adasi said, they struggle against European opposition. They just can't play them. They're just bigger, quicker, stronger, tactically superior. It's just a mismatch. Argentina's Argentina. It may be a little plucky, but I think individually they obviously have talent, so they'll be able to get that. And Mexico's a good squad. Mexico's a good team. They're very, very strong in the Central American qualifiers there, generally, obviously, because there's not much competition, but they do well at World Cup levels. They do well. They always pull some results and they get through, hopefully. It will be interesting.
Interesting about Mexico, past 7 World Cups, they haven't gone past the round of 16. They've always made the round of 16, but always been eliminated at that stage. So can they do it this time? That's the thing with Mexico.
Well, I mean, they do have a pretty good attack, eh? You got Lozano, you got Raul Jimenez, you got Jesus Corona. So, I mean, it's not like a team that's not represented well in Europe at all, right? I mean, and you got the great central defensive midfielder for Ajax. Forget his name right now.
Guardado? No, not Guardado.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the point is that they are well represented in Europe. So you know what? What is your expectation for Mexico and Poland? Because to be honest, I don't think Poland's ever progressed past the group stage, right, Darcy?
They did years ago. I think in the 80s, they did come in like quarterfinals, semi-finals. But the past few editions, they have not made it past the group. So past 3 World Cup, but they obviously rely a lot on Robert Lewandowski up front. Obviously, the star player, the key player. So if he's firing, they could, get in that second spot. I think it'll be Argentina top spot, and I think Poland, Mexico for second in that group.
Absolutely, Poland, Mexico. It's going to depend on that Poland Mexico game. I think is going to be important. Or if someone can pull off a draw against Argentina, will be interesting. But as I said, the Saudis are going to be there for the picking. Everyone's going to score 3 points there. Whoever doesn't is the one that's going to miss out on second spot.
But Argentina can feel comfortable going into this group, I would say, right?
They should. There's probably one of the nicer draws I think they've had previous times. Look, the Poles will be a tough game for them, but if they neutralise their taking threat, I don't think Poland has much else to offer. Mexico will probably be their biggest threat. A similar. I'm going to call them South American. Same shit to me. South American team.
100%. And with Mexico, I mean, like Argentina should feel pretty comfortable. They've beat them the last couple of occasions that they've had against them. So I think it's an easy one for Argentina. I think they should be feeling pretty good about this group.
Yeah.
If John was here, he'd say, no, I'm not counting anything. He's always the pessimist. Always wants to pretend that they don't have a chance, and then so he's pleasantly surprised when they.
He wants to keep an underdog mentality even against countries like Saudi Arabia. All right, guys. So Group D, Group D is a funny one for any Australians watching. Group D is the one that we're more going to be focused on, because if we get progress past our qualifiers, we would end up in Group D. Group D is France, Denmark, Tunisia, and one to be decided, and that will most likely be Peru or Australia, right, Darcy?
Yeah, look, I mean, with Australia, it's funny because they're going on a pretty bad run of form at the moment, even though they're against UAE, who are pretty average, I must say, but, can't really guarantee Australia going to win there. You'd think they would, but, who knows with the way they're going at the moment. But if they do get past UAE, going to be a tough ask against Peru a few days later for that confirmation of that qualification spot. So, this group has is very similar to 2018 when France, Denmark, Australia, and Peru were in the same group.
Yeah.
France, Denmark again the same group, and I'm going to get either Peru or Australia. If
They all know they all know each other very well.
That's right. And then you got the other team, Tunisia, who not really a flashy team, not really excited, but they just seem to get the job done somehow. They're just a very cagey team, cautious, and they got through the qualifiers only just through because of a freak own goal. So, that's all they're going to rely on. I think they're just going to stick to that plan of being very solid defensively and hope for some bit of magic to get a surprise result, I think.
I think it's best for Australia not to qualify and save ourselves the embarrassment of playing the Frances and the Denmarks. We're going to get absolutely walloped playing these teams. Even Denmark, a very, very well-structured team compared to us. I feel like we're all over the shop at the moment. We have no identity, no idea, no sort of style. We're just putting whatever 11 players we have at the time on the pitch and saying, go for it, which I think is not going to look great. So I would hope that should we progress past the UAE, which we all tipped that we would I don't think we'll get past Peru. I think that's Peru's spot. If Australia make it to the World Cup, I will be extremely, extremely surprised.
Yeah, I think in this group as well.
Regarding the group, you would have to say France surely would canter in with 3 wins out of 3, I would say. I don't see anyone putting up that much of a fight against the French. They have quality all across the park. That front attacking third, and the midfield is ridiculous. They could literally field 2 teams.
You're right about that, and I mean, we certainly expect them that they certainly should be motivated after the way Euro went for the French. So I agree. I do expect a very motivated French national side. However, at the same time, Denmark are a pretty strong team. They were semi-finalists in Euro last year. Christian Eriksen's been able to make an inspirational comeback after that, scare with the cardiac arrest at the Euro, and he's actually playing pretty well for them.
Surprising, yeah. He's scoring, assisting, and whatnot. He did it internationals. He even did it for his club. So, surprisingly, it seems like he's back on track. So that'll be interesting too. I still don't think Denmark is strong enough to usurp sort of France from that top spot. Peru, as Darcy said, very plucky. They may pull a result here or there, but it's France and Denmark for me going through that group. It's pretty straightforward, I think.
France and Denmark have a history of World Cup meetings and also Euros since the 1990s. So going back to Euro 92, France 98, Euro 2000, 2002 World Cup, and 2018 World Cup. So there's a bit of history there between them. They're one of those regular matches.
How the fuck do you remember that?
Shut up, bro. Just shut up. You don't need to tell us. Just say they had a history of encounters.
Akram, I want to know. I want to know for Johnny's sake, because I know Johnny's going to get pissed about it. Tell us how you know.
It's my specialty, I guess. It's my
it's your name. Fucking mate, next time just say they have a history of encounters. Fucking every single one.
Next time just say I looked it up. I Wikipedia it before I started the episode.
Yeah, be honest. You got a cheat sheet there next to you.
Just for anyone's interested.
Your wife is like feeding you the information on the side there, right?
All here, man.
He's got a teleprompter.
One day we're going to find the secret, and us we're going to find out the secret.
No secret, man. Yeah.
No, yeah, fair enough, though. Yeah.
France and Denmark. I think France, Denmark, or Peru will give it a good shake if Peru get through.
Yeah. Yeah, now fair enough. I think that's going to be an exciting one for us. Like I said, if Australia was to make it through or not, like we said, we know this country really well. We're really interested to see how Peru would go because, going by these results and by this group stage, Australia could think, what if they got in? Because, like I said, they know these countries pretty well. And if Peru was to really shit the bed, Australia and the Socceroos might consider, what if they had made it through, and if they do make it through, then like I said, it'll be pretty interesting to see how they go up, a second round with them 4 years later. Anyway, Group E. Okay, so Darcy, mate, Group E.
Yeah, so we got this one. We got two heavyweights in Spain, Germany, and then you got Japan as well, and then you got either Costa Rica or New Zealand. This one
sucks for them, mate.
I feel that this is a fairly tough group because people are thinking, Spain, fair enough, Germany, okay, but then people seem to be writing off Japan for some reason. The Japanese are a very, very good side. Technically, very good, very quick, good in transition, good on the counter. We saw that against Australia. So they're going to be, and a lot of these European teams don't play Asian teams much, so they don't know. Yes, if they come up against weaker or less or more inferior Asian teams, the Saudis, etc. Yes, they'll roll them eventually. They'll figure them out. But I think the Japanese have a tendency to sort of fight to the death and pick up, something, get something at the end. They're very quick, very nimble. I don't think it's going to be as simple as that. Germany, I don't know. They've been very, very quiet. I don't know how their qualifying campaign was, but not the Germany that we know and remember going into World Cups, always being touted as favourites, or, definitely to make semis and things like that. They're very quiet. I haven't heard much personally. I may be just out of the loop a little, but I don't know. Tell me, guys, is it
Germany?
This year?
Yeah, look, they're slowly. I think Hansi Flick, the coach there now, he's slowly getting them back to winning ways and performing better than I think what they were. Obviously, they need to do better than 2018. That was absolutely unexpected. I think they were just overconfident going into that tournament, and they paid the price for that with a first round exit. But now, in qualifying, they did quite well. They won slip up at home against North Macedonia, but they still topped the group. And I think they've got some good players there. There's Antonio Rudiger at the back. He's been very solid there for Chelsea and for Germany. And you've got the attack up front with guys like Leroy Sané, Serge Gnabry, Thomas Muller still going quite strong. And you've got Kai Havertz as well playing well for Chelsea. So, and Ilkay Gundogan as well at Man City having a very good season. So they're doing well. Hansi Flick has got them performing well, and it's the first World Cup since Joachim Löw is not there. So, they should do better.
Gundogan is Turk, just FYI. Yeah.
Very
yeah.
The Germans are multicultural now. They've changed in the past years.
Same as Kadira.
Tunisian.
Algerian or some African shit. Same shit.
Yeah.
No, but it's true, Darcy. They do got a lot of a bit of young talent coming through. There's that player from Leverkusen that's turning a lot of people's heads.
Yeah.
What was his name? Florian Wirtz.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So like they could honestly, I mean, it's kind of like they could surprise, but it would be unsurprisingly a surprise, because Germany always seems to turn up. So, while I agree, Fatty, I think they've just been quiet. The media has not necessarily been too interested in their, qualifying journey. They've just done what they've done. They've, won the game they needed to win without being too impressive. But regardless, once they're in the World Cup, once they're in the tournament, they got a lot of experience. Manuel Neuer, Rudiger, etc. So they know what they got to do. And Germany did versus Spain. What was it in the 2010 World Cup with us?
Yeah, the semi-final when Carlos Puyol, that header, great, got him through to the final. That was a good Germany side. That was a top German side as well. That was that generation, like I think from 2010 to 24. That when Özil, Kroos, and Khedira were there.
Royce
they're playing really good. Yeah. So I think Spain. Under Luis Enrique, this is a different generation of players from the golden generation from 2008 to 2012. So they made all the way to semi-finals at the Euros last year. So they got some good youngsters. I think Spain are just they're not under superstar players as before, but they might just be that team where they've got a good amount of quality to be enough to to get pretty far in the tournament. You'd think.
I can't take Marco Reus seriously, because every time I think of Marco Reus, I remember that tabloid photo of him on his little yacht or whatever he was with his girlfriend, and his little budgie smugglers and his little pin dick sticking through.
Oh, that was Götze.
Oh, fucking Götze. Sorry, I apologise.
Johnny's favourite
player from that final. The other thing I wanted to mention, which would be interesting, is a lot of people don't seem to. Not a lot said about. Everyone thinks, who's going to be favourite for the World Cup? I think there's a couple of factors here. One, that the World Cup's being played at the end of the year. Generally, all these teams and these players will come off a full season. They're finished and they come in. Now it's going to be a month into the new season, or how the season's going to be done, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's going to be a factor. Are they going to be ready? Have they got enough games under their belt? That's one. Two, how are they going to handle the climate there? I understand there's air conditioning and all this sort of shit. I don't think it's the same. The training conditions and all that are going to be different to a match condition. So it's going to still be hard. It's not going to be as clear-cut as everyone thinks. Generally, when we have World Cups in European countries, it's a different story. And European summers are not the same as Middle East summers.
Well, yeah, like Adasi likes to point out, though, they are going to be entering winter at that point of the season. As if that
it gets cooler, definitely a lot cooler than June, July, that's for sure.
It's still going to be pretty bloody hot, though, mate.
Obviously, when you look at the groups, Germany versus Spain, that's a match in everyone's calendar that they're going to watch. That's the glamour tie probably of the group stage. I think that's the second match that they'll be of the group stage for them. So definitely they both have to get off winning starts in their respective games. But in terms of the other team who's going to be in the group, I think it'll be Costa Rica. I don't really see New Zealand getting through. I mean, they do have Chris Wood, their striker, plays for Newcastle United. But other than that, I think Costa Rica has a bit more quality to get through.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what? Fair enough, man. Adasi, though, you touched on a point there that I wanted to come back to. You said, Spain don't really exactly have any of the superstars too much in the squad, right? But they do have a lot of, superstars in waiting, coming of age, right?
They do, yeah. I mean, I guess now they've had that good run at the Euros, and they've had some of these players have had a good season or two now at their respective clubs. Now it's just a matter of them building on that and just proving that the run at the Euros wasn't just a flash in the pan. So,
yeah, I mean, well, not just that, but Pedri this year for Barcelona, he looks like the real deal.
He does. I mean, he's playing real, and he's played so many games for his age. I think he's 18, 19, and he just hasn't stopped playing for his club. And then he played at the Euros, and then he finished that. He flew over to Japan for the Olympics, and then back at his club, and he had a bit of a break, and he's still playing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he heads into that tournament physically in his conditioning, if he's still going to be playing these amount of games. So, he's one to watch out for, definitely. But I just feel that up front, they obviously lack the firepower and the quality as they had from years before when you had Torres and David Villa. I just don't think Morata is the one he's in that same caliber.
Funny, they were talking shit about Morata in the Euros, and then he got those goals against Croatia, and then he ended up missing after that. So he went from hero to villain very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. All right, well then let's move on to Group F. There's a bit of a weird group over here, guys. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, and Croatia.
That's a tasty group, I think. I would say interesting because Belgium, as we know, obviously one of the favourites in terms of European teams. Obviously, haven't really achieved much on the world stage, but quality-wise, they've got the personnel, so you would expect them. Morocco, fairly strong, but I don't think they'll do well. As we said, these African teams will generally struggle against the Europeans. Canada, interesting one, very, very interesting one. I don't know much about the Canadians. We know a couple of players that are obviously stars, but doesn't mean that they're a great team. And who's the last one?
Croatia.
Croatia, I think that's the end of their generation. A lot of the players this will be their last World Cup for the Croatian team, and they're really blooding in a new generation. I don't think they'll do what they did at the
last World Cup.
last World Cup. I don't think they'll do that and have a real crack at it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really think Belgium should qualify from that group. Croatia, should get the better of those teams, but it'll be very tight. It'll be tighter than people think.
No, you're right. No, 100%. I totally agree. I think this is going to be the group with the most surprises. I mean, because Belgium, even though they are still in what you would call their golden generation, started to become a bit of an old generation too. Mertens is in their early 30s, Lukaku is 30, De Bruyne is 29. So and I think they've got like huge question marks at this in defense.
Yeah, I think Belgium. This is it. This is as you said, they're towards the end of their golden generation. They had their chances between 2014 and Euro 2020 when the players were still kind of at their peaks, a bit younger. Didn't quite win it. They went far, but didn't quite win any of those tournaments. This is it, I think, for them. This is their chance now.
Yeah, and to be honest with us, in my opinion, I think that it's not so much this is it. I think this is it was in 2018 or last year in the Euro. I think they missed their chance. I mean, their centre backs were Vertonghen and Alderweireld. They've dropped off from top flight football. And I mean, Lukaku has been in middling form this year. Mertens is 34. I actually think they've kind of like missed their chance.
Yeah, and then our mate Eden Hazard as well is who knows what he's going to be.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to mention that. I couldn't wait to fucking mention him.
Who knows what state he's going to be by the time the tournament comes. So yeah, I think it's their last chance.
Imagine he does a Gareth Bale and takes them to the semi-finals or something.
Okay.
We'll see. But in terms of Morocco, look, I wouldn't count them out either. I think the last World Cup, I mean, they only got picked up 1 point. They were in a tough group, and each game they actually played really well, but especially against Spain and Portugal. So they've got some technically good players. As I mentioned, I think last week, I don't know if I meant, or was it offline, Hakim Ziyech is no longer in the squad. He had a fallout with the federation or the coach. So even despite him not being there unless something happens, they reconcile and he joins the team again.
Yeah, they still got time to do that.
They got a decent team, and Achraf Hakimi is doing quite well.
Yeah,
He's at PSG and for this club, so for his country. So yeah, and Canada, interesting to see how they go. The first World Cup since 1986. So
the Canadians have nothing to lose, so they'll really have a crack at teams. I'd love to see them have a crack at teams and just go for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That could happen.
And it's good for them as well.
With it.
And it's good as well. They've got the next World Cup they're co-hosting, so this is a chance for them to show, look, they can play football. And the qualifiers, they did quite well. They finished top of the 8-team table in the qualifiers.
Yeah, you're right. This is this sort of a curtain raiser for them to really test themselves on the international stage, because they're guaranteed the next World Cup without having to qualify. So it'd be more of a free pass. If I was coaching the Canadians, they'd be like, you know what, just go for it. I'm not too fussed about results. When I'm under pressure to qualify or to get results or whatever, let's have a crack at it and sort of really.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and they got some players that are like, borderline stars already, with Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David already. So, anything could happen.
Yeah, it's an open group. I think it'd be interesting. Good games to watch there.
Yeah, I actually reckon that's, like Fatty said, the tastiest group in the tournament. All right, Darcy, Group G, mate.
Group G. I looked at this group and I thought, wow, this is just like 2018. Brazil, Serbia, and Switzerland, who were in the same group in the previous World Cup. And now this time, instead of Costa Rica, they get Cameroon in the group. So, look, Brazil, they're one of the favourites, of course, as they always are, 5-time champions, Brazil being Brazil. They're top of the South American qualifiers. They've got some good young players, obviously, in Vinicius and Anthony as well playing there up front, and Marquinhos, Militao. This is a chance now. They've kind of haven't been doing too well since they won it in 2002. They've quarterfinals, semi-final, and quarterfinal. Just they kind of need to make that next step now. And of course, that semi-final was that 7-1 drubbing that they copped at home. So
I was
They
going
need
to
to
say,
kind of,
got slapped at home as well.
yeah,
Not to forget that. But
yeah,
they're obviously heavy favourites this tournament. I was on a page today on socials, and they had 2 star players in every position for the Brazilian national squad, which is crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy. They've got great depth, same as France. So you would think they'd do well. The Serbs again been very quiet as well. Their campaign's been very quiet. Haven't heard much of them. Be interesting to see how they do. I don't know how they're sort of travelling as a national team. Cameroon, always strong. Always strong, yeah. Always strong.
Yeah.
They'll cause the Serbs problems 100%.
Yeah, I think
they'll pick up a point there or maybe more. Cameroon.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect from them. Don't know what to expect, but I think the game to watch out for is Switzerland versus Serbia. If you recall back in the 2018 World Cup when Switzerland won 2-1, Granit Xhaka and Jadon Shaqiri scoring the goals and doing Albanian gesture because of the Albanian background, and it didn't go down well with the Serbian fans. And
we're going to talk about Yugoslav politics now.
And then, they both got fined for that at the time, but that'd be a good match to watch. I think Switzerland, they had a good run at the Euros, beating France in that thrilling game, down 3-1, coming back and then drawing and winning on penalties and pushing Spain all the way in that quarterfinal. They're a good solid team. They've got some good players all around. Granit Xhaka seems to do well for his national team, and so it'd be interesting. I think they'll go through with Brazil.
Yeah, no, I agree. No, I agree. I mean, you got good Granit Xhaka, but you're also thinking about like Milinkovic, Savic, Dusan Tadic, Vlahovic, who's gone into to Juventus, who, in my opinion, I think is a legit superstar. I think he's one of the best young players out there. So honestly, I think Serbia can make a lot of noise.
How old is Tadic? I feel like Tadic's been around for a long time.
Fucking old.
Yeah.
33.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he's been around. He's been at Southampton now, Ajax.
Yeah. Interesting. It's a good group, but you'd have to say Brazil should comfortably get through, just based on their qualifying. They obviously smashed the South American qualifiers, which they've been doing recently.
Yeah.
They've just got a lot of talent, a lot of quality going forward. Very, very threatening. They've got goals galore from everywhere.
But Fatty, for the sake of argument, they've certainly got plenty of talent. But I can see looking at that squad, I can see a bit of a blow up and a bit of a surprise, a disappointment for him as well. I mean, like we said last week, there's not too many strong leaders in that dressing room, and
I don't think they'll start off very flamboyantly. I think they'll just do enough to get through the group and finish top, obviously, because you don't want to face the team first in the opposing group.
Yeah,
they'll turn it on. They'll have to. They've got to turn it on. As Darcy said, they've missed a lot of opportunities since their last win in the World Cup, and they've really got to atone for that. Like if Neymar doesn't, how old's Neymar now?
30.
Yeah, there you go. So, for arguably Brazil's player of their recent generation, he hasn't done shit.
No, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to be honest, to get the best out of this attack, where do you play everyone? I mean, Neymar is on traditionally plays on the left, but so is Vinicius. Do you try to compensate somewhere to fit them both in, or do you keep Vinicius on the bench? What do you do with Darcy there?
They did start together in the last game. I can't remember who it was. I think it was against Chile or Bolivia in the qualifiers. I think Vinicius on the left and Neymar was kind of playing in the middle in the front three.
I was going to say, like, obviously they've got Jesus and a couple other options there, but I think they're going to give Neymar more of a central role. I don't know how he played in the qualifiers. If he had more of a free role, possibly. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see.
They mentioned Jesus and Firmino. They weren't selected in the last qualifiers, I think, because they haven't been playing that much for their clubs. So it'll be interesting to see if they're going to seek transfers going into this World Cup to get that playing time, get their spots back. So
that's an interesting point.
Yeah, but that
would lead Liverpool to get more international playing time.
But then again, like, it goes back to what Fadi said before, is that this World Cup, there's so many unknowns because, like you said, is the season going to even start? Is it going to be delayed because of this World Cup? Like, how is it really all going to play out?
I think I heard that they're just going to start as usual. I think they're going to stop like 2 weeks before the tournament starts, and then
So,
have the tournament
for
and then come back.
For example, England season usually starts in late August.
They might start earlier.
The Premier League, yeah. But then that closes the gap between season ending, which is around May, and then season starting again. So then you've got less pre-season time. Everything's a flow-on effect. So it'll be interesting how it works.
Yeah, honestly, I actually think, being a little pessimistic here, but I think there's a lot of potential for this to blow up in FIFA's face, in terms of injuries, in terms of just too many games being played, and the quality of football overall being poor.
Yeah, look, let's see. I mean, look, they've had years to prepare for this, so they're, knowing that's going to be in November, so they're going to have to make it work. They're going to have to make it work.
No worries. Yeah. So for that one, I think it's a fairly straightforward group. To me, Brazil, Serbia, with Switzerland, Cameroon, obviously potential to cause some issues. Our last group of the draw, Group H. This is also another, as Fatty would say, tasty group. Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and Korea Republic. What do you reckon, boys?
I looked at this group and I really thought, wow, there's so many grudge matches in this. I mentioned it in the chat group, the group of grudge matches. I could go through why, but I think you're going to get annoyed. So I don't know if you want me to.
Tell us. Go on.
Well, all right, for Portugal, their grudge match against Korea from 2002. Remember? They lost in that group stage. There's that. And then also losing to Uruguay in the last World Cup.
Was that the Cristiano Ronaldo meme with his tears, crying?
No, that was the Euros. After he wasn't there. Yeah. So that was losing to Korea in the 2002 World Cup at a tournament when they were favourites to win it. And then you had grudge match against Uruguay, losing to them in 2018 in that second round match. And that's for Portugal. Then you got Uruguay's grudge match against. I don't have one because South Korea's got one against Uruguay from 2010, and then you've got Ghana's grudge match against bloody Uruguay for the 2010 quarterfinal when Guillaume missed that penalty. So it's just grudge matches everywhere. Like
Well, no, he didn't miss the. Well, the notable moment was the
Suarez
handball, which he came out recently and spoke about again. Ironically,
yeah.
I read an article recently, I think a couple of days ago, where he said something about it. I don't recall what it was exactly, but I remember that game very vividly. It was crazy. And he was saying that he owns the hand of God now. So the hand of God is his, not Maradona's.
It's unbelievable. That was 12 years ago, and he's still playing.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And Cavani's still playing as well, and all these, the Uruguay team's got a lot of experience. So
Uruguay's a good squad. They've got some good players on paper. It'll be a very nice group. That'll be a tasty group as well. Portugal.
That is tough to call as well.
Portugal, as we know, a lot of quality in that front third, Ronaldo aside. Ghana, again, strong African team, and you said that grudge match, so there'll be some hatred there playing the Uruguayans. And Korea. Korea's not an easy team in Asia. It's very similar to the Japanese, technically very good.
Yeah.
They might cause an upset or two. They'll definitely cause an upset with the Portuguese. I believe they might be able to get a draw there. That's my
I think.
Yep.
Yeah, forget if Son Heung-min, is in good form in that as well. Anything can happen. They did beat Germany in the last World Cup, so they are capable of matching it well with the stronger nations.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, very, very exciting group. I think that that group and the group with Belgium and Croatia, Canada and Morocco are the two most exciting groups of this group draw, to be honest, in my opinion, at least. Anyway, guys, look, we're wrapping up, and it looks like we're about to end our episode. Any last words, guys, before we go?
Yeah, Johnny's a poofter. And he needs to get his shit together and host a proper podcast, because it's difficult through Zoom. No one's sick. We don't have any problems. Johnny has some reasons as to why he's not here. I don't know. We'll let him explain next time.
Yeah, I mean, like it's one of those things. Zoom is a good compensation, but we do really enjoy being able to get together. It's a bit better in person. Sound quality and video quality is obviously better, and it's always more enjoyable to hang out with you guys in person. Hopefully next week we get back in person. Darcy, my friend, last words. Are you gonna wow us or surprise us with any last things?
No, just yeah. I love talking about these draws, these World Cup draws, and possible matchup, and then I always recall the previous matches in past tournaments.
We saw that.
So I've got the, I've looked at
2006.
Yeah, you look at the draw. You already looked at the calendar and seen, okay, which ones match to watch out for. And I know it's 7 months away now. So a lot can happen from now until then. But I think once the draw is, I think people are going to start getting into it. They know who's playing who. So, and of course, we've still got the three teams still haven't decided yet. So qualifiers haven't been done. So looking forward to those as well.
Yeah, 100%. A lot of exciting stuff to get to in the next few months. Like we were talking about last week, this is going to be our first podcast together doing for the World Cup. So that's going to be really exciting. Hopefully we do some really cool episodes, maybe do some watch-alongs, maybe even a few episodes somewhere else besides, our regular studio place at Johnny's. Anyway, guys, I think it's time to say goodbye. So, guys, have a great one. Take care. We'll see you next time.